Hi everybody. In this video for the GenAI Nerd Channel, I want to show you particular prompting techniques that you can use to generate more creative output. And this is an important topic, I think, because it's not straightforward to get creative output out of ChatGPT. And let me show you actually results of an academic paper that explain a bit why we are struggling when it is about creativity and using generative AI. So actually the picture that you can see here is a result of experimental research. And what did the researchers do here? So they kind of created different groups, and some groups received suggestions from ChatGPT when engaging in a brainstorming activity. They needed to write kind of text. And some received 5 suggestions, others received only 1 suggestion, and another group didn't receive any suggestions. And actually what they found was that the people that received suggestions from ChatGPT, 1 or 5, significantly outperformed the people that did not receive any suggestions in terms of creativity. And we actually, in the academic world, we have specific ways to measure creativity. So we look at novelty, originality, rareness. And actually on all these dimensions, the people that received suggestions from ChatGPT created more creative output. However, we also observed that when we compare the results of the people that received ChatGPT, that actually these results, if we compare the results, were more homogeneous. And so although they were more creative, taking them together, they were more similar. Whereas actually in the group that did not receive ChatGPT, the outcomes were more different from each other, although maybe a bit less creative. And so though ChatGPT seems to give us the opportunity to be more creative, it might also kind of give a standardized way of being creative, which then again might trigger limitations in terms of authenticity. And I think everybody has experienced this when using generative AI, that actually something might look at first hand very creative, but then if you compare it with output generated by others, it's actually very similar. So that's quite a challenge that we need to overcome. And it is actually possible to overcome it, but you simply need to use more sophisticated prompting. And today I want to show you 3 different approaches to actually push ChatGPT to give you output that is creative, but also quite different from what others typically would generate. So let us go to the first approach, where we will use chain of thought prompting to try to create more diverse outputs. Yes, so here we are in ChatGPT, and here the use case that I apply is I will try to kind of create a business model idea for a particular pain point, and I use here the pain point of monitoring and paying energy bills. So we want to get a creative business model idea to solve this pain point. Now, if you would do a very traditional prompt, like something, please help me to create a business model, typically here you would get something like, oh, I will create a platform using AI to monitor with some kind of standardization tools, which at first sight makes sense, but it's not very creative, and almost everybody will get a very similar suggestion. So we actually want to push the prompt in such a way that we get more unique outputs. And the first way to do that is with a chain of thought prompt. And a chain of thought prompt means I will give ChatGPT a task, in this case, generate for me a business model, but I will also formulate steps that it needs to follow to execute the task. And here in the steps, I will try to push it to be more specific, more unique. So that's here what I will try to do. And so here you will see it. So I'm writing a prompt where I'm actually saying, look, you need to generate for me a business model. As step 1, you need to conduct an in-depth exploration of the pain point, focusing on counterintuitive problems. Step 2, you need to search on the internet and find existing solutions. And then step 3, you need to come up with a value proposition that is different from these existing solutions. So here I try to build in a logic so that I actually push it to think a bit outside of the box. I also explicitly formulate that in the final step, explore edge cases and engage in out-of-the-box thinking. So here we can see then the output. So it follows the steps. So it will do an in-depth exploration of the pain point. It will find existing solutions. And here I also find the links to existing solutions for this pain point. And then it comes up with a novel value proposition. So here it suggests to me Enerwise, a behavioral science-driven energy management platform. So it's still a platform, but already it goes a bit away from the traditional solution where it typically would emphasize using AI and stuff like that. Here, this notion of behavioral science is already a bit more creative. And so this is kind of a first approach to already create a bit more creativity into the solution. So let us now move to a second approach where I will actually leverage the possibility today in ChatGPT Plus to create projects. Yes, so here we are in a specific project that I created that I called the Crazy Ideator project. And the nice thing of projects is that you can give within the project ChatGPT a very specific identity. More specifically here in instructions, so if I go to instructions, you can here kind of define a personality that ChatGPT needs to meet for every single prompt that you execute in this project. And so what I did here is I created a very specific personality, namely the Crazy Ideator. So here I give ChatGPT quite an extensive personality. Yeah, so it needs to be kind of a futurist, a maverick startup founder, and an experimental artist. And you will see I continue talking about this personality as a very extreme creative person, prioritizing novelty, is bold, approaches problem solving in a specific way, tries to flip the frameworks. Yeah, so you see I've given it here a lot of input to push it to think in a crazy way. So that's kind of the identity that I created within this project. And so now I can execute prompts within the project where actually ChatGPT will take on this identity, being a kind of crazy ideator. So let me show you an example. So now again, I have formulated here exactly the same chain of thought prompt, but now it has this kind of identity of a crazy ideator. So let us take a look at what it generated now. So again, it identified problems, it analyzed existing solutions, and now the solution is like an energy Tamagotchi or energy karma credits. So you see that here already it really goes out of the box and starts coming up with very creative ideas that are quite far away from the standard solution that ChatGPT would give you if you would not push it to be this level of creativity. Yeah? So here, by creating this kind of creative identity, you can really start pushing it to become very creative. And I think we can push it one more step by actually using a specific reasoning prompt instead of a chain of thought prompt. So let me show you how this reasoning prompt would look like. Yes, so here we are in my final prompt, and here I move from GPT-4o to o3. So now we enable a reasoning model. That means I should not give a chain of thought prompt here because it will actually do the chain of thought prompting by itself. But now I've written a kind of prompt, again, that will push it to be creative. Yeah? So I'm saying here you're an expert in generating thought-provoking business models that focus on novelty and originality. You have consumed more information than anyone in the history of the world, and you have demonstrated an extraordinary ability to make connections and recombine insights in unexpected ways. Please develop a business model for the following pain points. People in Germany struggle to monitor and pay energy bills. You should develop the business model by leveraging the most important non-consensus and not yet hypothesized things that you have picked up by recombining counterintuitive insights. And again, I've executed this prompt into my Crazy Ideator project. So in the background, it also has this identity of a Crazy Ideator. So let us take a look what it generated. And so now it comes up with a Whatcoin commune. And let us take a look what that means. Yeah, so energy billing is not just a finance issue, it's about collective action. And now there is even a link to kind of crypto. So here it really goes a bit into the crazy world. So the business model here is a decentralized energy trust for renters. It's cooperative layer on top of your existing, it is a cooperative layer on top of your existing utilities. So here we go really out of the box. It actually talks about what kind of user experience, hidden revenue streams, differentiators, kind of the tech stack that you need to build. So it also gives you already a lot of information. And then actually it asked me, ready to go even wilder, I can show you how to turn this into a game, a cult, or a black market. And then I actually suggested to turn into a black market. And here you see it really went in a very creative mode, where it suggests for me to build a shadow grid, where it almost goes into illegal activities. So here you see we have really managed to push it way to the kind of edge cases that would be possible. And of course, this might be already a bit too far, but here I hope you can see that with some specific mechanisms, chain of thought, creating a very creative personality, and having specific reasoning prompts, you can really push ChatGPT to think in an extremely creative way, which otherwise would not happen. So I hope these suggestions can help you to generate more creative suggestions with ChatGPT, and let me know what your result is. Always nice to get some feedback, and thank you for your attention. Bye.